Good day, and thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Life Connected podcast. All things about Celina, Texas, and what a place it is, and what an exciting year it is as Celina celebrates this sesquicentennial, the 150th anniversary of Celina, Texas. And we have the pleasure today and the blessing of having three of, I believe, 5 or 6 generations, we'll get to that in a moment, 3 generations at the table, Jane Huddleston, Janet Calvert, and Jarrett Calvert, all lifelong Celina people born and raised here, to talk today through memories and through the great things, the challenging days, and what's to come, all things Celina, Texas. So all of you, welcome and thank you for being here and for being a part of this.
Thank you so much.
It's exciting.
A great way to celebrate.
We're going to dive right in. Celina is celebrating the 150th birthday, as we said, the sesquicentennial. What is this milestone? I want to know what it means to each of you personally. Jane, I'm going to start with you. What does this milestone mean to you, 150 years of the city you know and love?
Well, considering I've been here for over half of those years, 89 years, and I've seen lots of changes. I still love Celina, and it's got a great future. And, you know, the square was a big thing then. It's still a big thing.
Yes.
And we just have to always remember where we came from. And I think people are wanting to come here. And I see on Facebook and all, I'm coming to Celina, you know, and there'll always be someone that answers, welcome. Oh, wow. And I think that's what we aim for, is to welcome everybody, and everybody that's come is going to help us make it better.
That's who we are. I love that. Thank you, Jane Huddleston. Janet Calvert, Celina at 150. What does this milestone mean to you?
Well, I remember when we celebrated the centennial, and it was a community-wide celebration, and it seemed to bring us closer. And I hope it does that this time and gives us a chance to share our history and show some of the new ones that are here, what a rich heritage we have, and what a special place it is to live in.
It's important. It really is.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, because it's roots matter, right? Everybody's welcome, but remember that roots matter. And I think the 150th, I mean, it's a big deal. And I think some cities will just, it's a number for a banner, but for here we make a big deal about it because it's important to remember where we came from. And I think just like our heritage, our legacy, people came to Celina and then they didn't just come, they stayed in Celina. I think it's what makes it so special. They stayed, they worked, they farmed, they taught in schools, and they raised families, they went to church together. And I think that all that combined is what makes it so special, that we're celebrating the 150th. Yes. It's not just this, hey, let's have this announcement. No, this is a year-long celebration, right. And this is such a great way to celebrate it with this
it's
podcast.
Not a check the box.
Yeah,
Celina, Texas. I mean, we do celebrations well. We may not do everything perfectly, but we do celebrations well. Another question for all of you. People say, we see this all the time. Jane, you mentioned on Facebook, you'll see this a lot. People say there's something special. There's something special about Celina from your experiences and your family's long journeys here. What is that something special to you?
Well, I think we talk about this often. There is something special about Celina. And I think one of the things is that we take care of our own. Now, in the very beginning, if you'll think about it, Celina was in the northwest part of the county, furthest from McKinney. So we didn't go there often. Celina had nearly everything that we needed within our community, and we still do, to a big degree. But I think people came here for a reason, and they're still finding that it's like it was. But it takes all of us to keep it that way.
Yes, ma'am. Janet, what do you think of when we say that's something special about Celina? You grew up here, you've lived here, you've taught here, you've led here, you've served here. What's that something special for you?
Well, growing up, I took it for granted and just thought everybody lived this way and lived between both sets of grandparents and knew everybody in town. But when I married, we moved away for a year, and I think it's when I came back that I realized what a special place it was. And people do care about each other. They take care of each other. When there's a need, they see that those needs are met. And I just think it's important that we continue that as we grow. It gets harder to do, but I've already seen some wonderful examples of people stepping up and still taking care of each other.
Neighbors still care about neighbors.
They do.
here. Jarrett, what about you?
It's funny. I was thinking about this question because there's a pride, I think a healthy pride in this town. You know, and one thing I saw that was even at college, people would ask, "Oh, where you're from?" People say, "Oh, Dallas, Houston." You know, like, "Oh, I really grew up in Plano," or and I'm like, "No, I'm from Celina."
That's right.
Nobody knows where it is. And then I explained, but there's that caveat where it's like, no, there's a pride being here, and I think it's what you said. It's built upon generations of other people who have stayed. And when they're here, they show up, and they step up, because whether that's we are going to go pray for people, we're going to go pull someone out, shovel their driveway in snow, or we're going to go help someone build something, we show up to serve each other, and that's what makes it so special. And as we're growing, it's going to be hard to serve 70,000 people. I can't go to the grocery store for someone in need, but we're a town, our town's growing, and if that idea and our culture continues to grow, imagine the impact of 70,000 people showing up for each other, 150,000 people showing up for each other. And so 150 years is a milestone, and if we just keep doing what the people have done before us, it's going to be another amazing 150 years,
I agree, totally. No, 100% agree. I want to ask Jane Huddleston some questions. You have respectfully and rightfully earned the title of matriarch of our community and of this city. I don't know if that's official down at City Hall, but I'm going to work on that. But
a lot of people call her Meemaw.
That's right.
A lot of people call her Meemaw.
Meemaw is so much better than matriarch.
I know.
It sounds so much more personal.
Particularly, we have kids come through the museum, and recently a whole group of them were coming through, and I heard somebody say, "Hi, Meemaw."
You just grab your pocketbook fast. What do you need? Jane, you've lived your whole life on Pecan Street, just about. Your grandparents, I think you said, lived here. Your parents lived here. You were born and lived here 9 decades, just steps from the square. You mentioned the square in your opening remarks. What has the Celina Square meant to you through your life?
Well, I grew up running around on the square, and that's literally what we did, 2 blocks from town. We had grocery stores, we had churches, we had everything, and it was just so much of a part of Celina. And one of the main things was we always had a Saturday drawing. Now, I'm sure some will remember Johnny May, had a great big loud voice. So every Saturday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, the square would be full of people, and he would pull in his pickup, get up in his pickup bed, and draw a name out of this big basket that we still have at the museum. And then you would get $25. Occasionally it'd be $100. But if you were the child that drew that person's name, they usually would give you $1. So that was a really big thing. But the square has always been important, and as far as the drawing goes, I remember one year living close to downtown, I heard Johnny call my name. That shows you he had a loud voice.
Yes.
So I ran all the way to the square, and I got that $25.
Oh my goodness.
And so my dad took that $25 and bought my first calf with it.
Wow.
So that's
$25 was real back then.
it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, that's
And you
money.
could buy yes.
Where'd the $25 come from? Who
From the merchants.
around the square?
Right.
They just all
Oh.
pitched in.
They all
somebody
pitched
won.
in.
That's awesome.
I don't know. And we had a shoe shop here, and Miss Klutz kept that basket, and if you wanted new ones wanted to register, you'd go in the shoe shop and she'd put your name in the basket.
That is so awesome. Over the years, you became a part more of the leadership of the city. From the little girl running around the square, suddenly you find yourself as the first woman elected to Celina City Council, a position of influence, leadership. How did that impact and influence not just the city, but your own journey towards just embodying all things Celina? What did that do for you, having that opportunity to serve?
Well, I don't really think being appointed to the city council, it was a great honor and I was very surprised, but I think it just allowed me to kind of continue to what I had done. We had a Women's Chamber of Commerce here at that time, and the square has always been really important to me, the middle part of it. And of course, the city had no money to contribute to it. And so somehow the women took care of the square. I think probably the bank probably helped us purchase some things, but then it always, you had to go water them every afternoon. There's times that we did that. There's times we would sweep the square if that needed to be done, wash the windows. So that's just part of it. It wasn't, you just kind of continue to do. But I think by being the first woman, I think it opened the door for, after that, other women served.
To serve. That's incredible. So we talked about your past, we talked about the middle part of your journey, and now one of the gifts you give to this city that's the richest is your everything you impart in the Celina Heritage Museum. You have taken that bull by the horns, and you have really, alongside your dear friend Jane Willard, you have poured into this museum so that long after all of us are gone, there is something rich there. Tell me about your passion for that and why you've done that.
Well, it was, believe it or not, 25 years ago when Bob McKnight and Jane Willard and I just began talking about how if we didn't do something to preserve our heritage, it was just going to go away. So that started it, and we formed we invited a whole lot of people to come, and from that a board was formed. And I don't know how we were this lucky, but the building that we now own was owned by Mr. Bridgewell, who printed the Celina Record then. And Bob asked him if he would sell that building, and he said no, he wasn't. So he was asked again, though, telling him it was going to be used for a museum. And because it was, he agreed to sell it. And the bank was always a part of us doing as well as we did because Bob was president of the bank. And as we look back, as our first loan was made, he didn't charge us any interest.
Wow.
So, you know, that's just the way it was. And from then on, we've had great people to serve on the board. We've been given some wonderful gifts that we still have. And it's still wonderful when people bring in things they have found and say, do you want this? Yeah. And so we're always looking for new things.
Of course we want it. We're with 3 generations of the Huddleston and Calvert family. We've been talking with Jane Huddleston. We're going to pick on Janet Calvert for a little bit and find out. I want to find out if you're still as sharp as we all think you are. No, I'm just kidding. Janet, it depends on the day is my answer. Janet, after years of teaching in Celina's classrooms, you imparted so much to kids. What did they teach you? What did they teach you about the good of Celina?
I just think they reaffirmed what a good place it is. We have a great school district. It's not good in the news now, but there are wonderful things still happening there. There were then. My students taught me that hard work matters. You saw the caring there. There are too many success stories to pick on one, but I remember a young man that when I taught first grade, he was in another teacher's class, and I would watch his behavior and thought, you know, glad I didn't get that one.
Well, it wasn't one of my kids, was it? Okay, good. Keep going.
Next year, I started working with dyslexic students. He was diagnosed. We worked together for years. He is one of my favorite all-time students. He invited me to his wedding. Yeah. I was about to leave. His dad stopped me and said, no, he wants you to meet his college professors. He was in the master's program at A&M then. And I think he's gone on to complete his doctorate. So it's just, it had nothing to do with me, but to watch them work that hard and overcome, and that's happened over and over and over. I just saw Charlie out in the hall. I didn't know he worked for you. Yes. I had him when I was at middle school. Yes. So I just feel a sense of pride like a parent. We have had so many successful students like that, and it just gives me a sense of pride.
It's got to be fun. You mentioned Charlie Rose and seeing what he's doing, but seeing these students that grow into leaders, that grow into great athletes, parents, community members. What does that mean to you? You were their teacher. You worked with them as a dyslexia specialist. You then were their principal. When you look back across that and you see these kids doing great things now, what does that do for a teacher?
Again, it just fills us with a sense of pride. Not that we have done anything, but just that they have done so well, whether it's leading a corporation, having their own business, or I saw a student working at the new Lowe's, and he was so happy to tell me about his family. And it just fills me with a sense of pride that we are doing things right, and we're in good hands. They are taking the future, and we're in good hands.
And you learned in working with people in schools, parents, kids, the administration, school board, whoever it is. There's no perfect school district, but my goodness, even through our most challenging times, this is still one of the greatest places on earth, correct? Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I do too. That leads us into school board member. No, I'm just kidding. Today we're talking to Jared Calvert. Jared, as a current Celina ISD trustee, here you are in this role where you sit at a decision-making table through the best of times, through challenging times, all times in the district, and yet you were a little just rugrat that came up through the district and graduated proudly from here. What did you learn from your Celina experience that's helped you become a strong leader in the community?
I think there is the idea of service, and that service is definitely a higher calling. You know, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, like most of us in the community, and you know, we follow his example. He didn't come to be served, but to serve. And so that's just responding to and stepping up, like we said earlier, to the call of serving this community. And it does not have to be in a school board role. That's a great way, and that position is an honor. It does carry weight, but there's so many ways we serve, and so that is the idea instilled to me. That's a calling that we need to serve each other, and tons of different roles.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do everything.
That's right.
Just maybe do one thing to serve
exactly right.
and give back. And so that's a big thing that I learned just through the extracurricular activities, through the hard times and practices, or going to speaking events, or raising cattle and FFA, the cold mornings, feeding. My dad did some too, but you know, there's a lot of that kind of grit that you develop, but then also the faith that's paired with it that this community really instills.
Your dad probably remembers getting up early a lot more mornings than you got up early. I don't know. We could ask him later. But I bet that he might say that. You're leading in this role, in your capacity, the district that you love, the district that trained and raised you. You're now leading through some of the most incredible times of growth, change, the unknown every day. What's that like? I mean, because when you were a kid, I mean, Celina's numbered its whole community in a couple thousand, and it feels like we're adding 1,000 people to our school district every year now. What's it like leading through this time of change?
It's crazy the amount of growth and change we're having. You know, we are doing so much that we can to plan for growth, and the administration does a fantastic job to get putting the right people in the right places. But there's almost so much you can plan for, because sometimes there is some feelings where we're flying a plane while we're building it a little bit, but that's just part of a fast growth district. That's part of a difficulties with funding from the state. But what I like to tell people about, and you said it correctly, everybody's a school board member. It's really a school board trustee. And the job is in the name, where it's trust. Because this position's different than city council, state representative, where people are representing adults. We're representing the kids. And so you're picking people that are going to be in a seat, in a room, behind closed doors, who are going to get information that probably no one in the public is going to get. And you're going to trust that that person is going to make a great decision for my kid. And so that's what I have to remind people of, is like, this is what a trustee is. The trustee has information that we're going to make the decisions based on demographics, based on challenges, based on what activities to bring into the school that's the best for these kids. And if you know the people in those seats, you know you can trust them. That's why you put them there. And so it's just continue to remind people that we're in this position. These are our kids. These are our tax dollars. Right. Kids and their money. Yep. That's what we're over. Right. And that's heavy to people. It's important. So that's what we're just trusting that we're in that seat. And it's an honor to be in a room to make those decisions.
I can imagine. It's so awesome. Now take your school board hat off.
Okay,
for a
it's
moment,
off.
And I want to talk to the lifetime, multi-generation Celina Bobcat.
Oh.
What are things that you feel are most important? Traditions, elements of Celina's school culture. What are things that, even as we grow and we're adding all these families every week, what are things that you hope that we hold on to? Not as a school board member, but as that Bobcat for life. Yeah. What is it?
You know, I think that Bobcat heart may seem a little cheesy, but it's also true. Even talking to Charlie, who's a Bobcat, you know, he still talks and hangs out with his buddies from high school. Same for me. Like we have that bond of spending so much time together, being in the throes of feeling like high school, or even being in a town of Celina. You're like, I'm ready to get out. And then when you get out, you realize how great it really is.
That's right.
And that's why you move back and raise your kids here. So I hope that never changes. I think it's going to look different. It's going to have to, because we can't fit 40,000 people into a high school. Yeah. We're going to have multiple high schools as that grows. And I think if we keep the roots ingrained in this growth, we're going to have a great Celina High School. Our second high school, our third high school, it's going to be a lot of great high schools that have that culture that we've done it before. And we can do it again, and we will do it again with these new high schools come in. So that kind of tied back to school, but answer, I'm sorry. No. But, I think the relationships that you build, like the text threads when you text your buddies from high school, and then you just tell the same stories again. Yeah. I think you have those relationships because of the impact the school made, the relationships with the teachers. I think it's if a student has one influential impact with a teacher, it completely changes their life. And so it's one impact that our teachers are making. Mine is probably Miss Kelly, my junior English teacher. She's the only teacher that sent me to ISS one time for in-school suspension.
Yes, I'm shocked
so
by that.
I've been there, but she's the teacher that made a huge impact on me because she was so caring, so funny, and just loved us. I still follow her on Facebook, so I see the stuff she posts about. So I think it's the relationships matter, and our core values are community, excellence, leadership, innovation, stewardship, and relationship is kind of ingrained in all of those.
Every one of them.
Why that's so important. And so why, yes, test scores are important. Yes, we're going to have Friday night lights, and we're going to have excellence in our athletic programs, and our fine art programs, and our ag programs, and our decathlon, like academic decathlon programs. It's the relationships that are making that's mattering. And whatever vehicle we use, that's the thing that ties them all together, I think.
I do want to say you did fair taking off your school board member hat.
Okay.
Fair at best.
It's hard to take off. It's hard to take off.
Your speechwriter would love it, though. They got you on talking point.
Yes,
no,
you're having a weed
it's awesome. I know you said just getting together with all your old buddies. I was standing with Charlie at a playoff game when we were out in the middle of wherever that place was, in the middle of nowhere, where we had that one of the last playoff games, and I watched groups of guys. I mean, these big, burly guys are getting started in their careers, and they would see each other. And it was like a love scene from a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they did everything but
big
kiss.
old hug and
the hugs, the laughter,
Yes.
just the memories. And I bet if I went back to your generation, when you see those people, I bet it was always the same. Just that camaraderie, that spirit, that thing that makes Celina that special place. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. I want to talk about service. You talked about stewardship and similar. Each of you has served in Celina. It's a part of, I bet if I got to know your parents, it was a part of who they were. I've known you for so long, and I know it's a part of your heart and yours and yours. What does service mean in a town like this? And is that perhaps one of the recipes of glue that can keep Celina being Celina? Let's pick on you.
Well, I think that's true. I know my dad served on the school board. He served on city council, and there were always challenging, but I think that made an impression on me that he served in that way. And but you don't have to be a part of city council or school board to serve. There's always things out there to do. And my thought has always been, if you see something that needs to be done and you can do it, then do it.
Yes, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done it, and I
Well,
commend you for that.
Still doing it.
Well, I don't know.
Are you still watering the flowers on the square?
No, and I want to say thank you, City, for the way that they keep our square
Isn't
now.
it gorgeous?
It makes my heart so good.
That's great.
And what they do at Christmas is so wonderful. But the best part of it is that when I drive around the square and I see a young mom sitting out there with her quilt and her baby and the others running around, it's just kind of like, yes, this is what we've worked towards for so many years.
It's the next episode of the movie that you know so well, right?
And that's what makes Celina great.
That's so incredible. Thank you. And you're especially thankful for that irrigation system that they put in to water all the
Yes,
flowers.
I am. It was really hard carrying those buckets of water. She did it for years.
Janet, you have served and you've done it so well and so faithfully. What does service mean to a community like this as we go and grow forward?
It is so important, so vital. We need to follow the example we've had set before us. I was fortunate enough, my mom and dad both set that example, but I can think of many, many other people through the years that have stepped up and taken care of needs when they were there. I think of Mr. Newsom was the superintendent here and saw a desire or a need for a community library. And so there was a collaboration between the school and the city to start that library, and it grew to what we have today. And just being able to help and serve with him on that. There are so many opportunities to serve now where people have seen a need and taken it with helping hands. Grace Bridge, we have unbelievable opportunities for people to serve. And I just think the more people serve, the more plugged in they become. And I've always found it's a bigger blessing to you when you serve than to the ones you're serving.
Absolutely.
So I just think as we can continue to do that as we grow, we'll continue to be a greater and greater and greater city.
I tell people all the time when I hear them griping about growth and traffic and all that stuff, I say, hey, just go volunteer.
Yes.
You know, because that's one thing that never wears out. You can do that if we're 1,000 people or 100,000 people. Right. So that's awesome. Thank you, Janet. Jarrett, what about you? Service. What
I
is
was
it?
about to get on a soapbox a little bit.
Okay, you got 30
Don't mind me.
seconds.
Yeah.
No.
You know, it's kind of like what you said, like, what does this place need right now? And then get to work doing it. You know, I feel like with social media, it can kind of trick you by commenting and expressing your opinion, scratches that itch of doing something, when in reality it's not doing much, you know? So get out and volunteer, get out and do something, and actually look people in the eyes and help serve them. You know, get out and sweat serving someone. Get out and actually think a long time about decisions you're going to make on this board, whether it's arts and commissions downtown, EDC, P&Z. I mean, these people are taking time and effort to make sure it's make Celina great. And I think what's needed right now, and then get to work.
Yeah,
you know.
That's right. We're with the two of the great Celina families, the Huddleston and Calvert families, on this edition of Life Connected, our podcast for all things Celina. We're glad you're joining us, and it's a joy to have Jane Huddleston, Janet Calvert, and Jarrett Calvert with us. I've got one last question I want to ask you, and I want a good, deep, heartfelt answer on this. When we look back, and Jane, you get to look back the furthest, you got to know and respect and love and be loved by so many of the pioneers of the city of Celina. When you look back and we think about the people who have made this place, what's the best way that we can honor their, not just their memory, but their legacy?
Well, I think that we just need to remember that they got us to where we are today. And so it's up to us to, or the next generations, to keep it going. And that it's not always going to be perfect.
That's right.
And there's going to be problems. But when you work together, in the end, it's going to be better.
That's right. That's awesome. Thank
and
you.
I just want to throw in here in that when people were coming to Celina, one of the first things they did after they got their house built was they built a church and they built a school. And I think that's what makes Celina still good today, because we have strong churches, we have strong schools, and when I think back to the prayer meeting we had on the square last fall, that's what Celina is all about, is praying together, and it'll keep us together.
Keep that legacy alive. Yeah. What about you, Janet? What are ways that you feel we can honor the people you worked with, people that you served under, people that you knew as a little girl? How do we honor their life and legacy for our city as we grow into the next 150 years?
Well, she's so part of my answer, because I was going to
She's
talk
mama.
about.
She can do that.
She can do that. Our schools, our city, our churches have worked together for years in ways that I haven't seen in other communities. And I think continuing that, and just when people come here, don't come here with an attitude, what can Celina give me? But what can I give Celina? What can I do to make it better? It goes back to the service, just to serve and help us through these rough times, because everybody's going to have rough times. And I still call it CARE, the Education Foundation I know you're a part of now, whether it's that, Helping Hands, Grace Bridge, to find a place to plug in and to help make our city better. And that in turn honors the ones that have come before us.
It honors the people who did it long before we got here, right? Jarrett, for you, you've lived here, you've loved here, there's no place that you love more. How do we honor people who have made this place so special?
You know, I think of two people. One, Grandy, who's not here with us. He passed a couple years ago, but, you know, and your name, Huddleston Building's a name on a building on the square. He didn't, and Meemaw doesn't give back to get their name on a building. it's a humility and like stepping up in the role we talked about. They're not doing that to get their name on the building. They're doing it because they love this community, and then people honor them by putting their name on the building. You know, the Huddleston building on the square that they named is humbling and for you and for our family. And so one thing I love is our school district does that too. We name schools after influential people, particularly influential teachers. And we fought hard to make sure we keep it with educators that have served this community for a long time. And that's why I think it's so special that we continue to name buildings in this town about individuals. And I think we have some people here, some special guests.
Looks like we're going to be interrupted a little bit here. Just keep rolling, if you will.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, it looks like the next generations of Celina. Y'all come on around here behind. Come on around here. Come on around here. Come on in. Come on in. We've got a lot of,
Look at this.
whole lot of Celina.
There you go.
How fun is this?
Now, wait, you guys have an announcement?
I got we'd like to show you.
Janet H. Calvert Elementary.
Surprise!
And so we've talked about ways that we honor people who have made a difference in Celina. And I see Starla Martin here, other people from the district. I can't see who all's back there. But today, this family is getting to share with their Nana the naming that's been approved and passed of Janet H. Calvert Elementary School, where your legacy now, like the Huddleston building in downtown, your legacy stands rightfully and righteously so. The lives you changed, the kids you impacted, and the difference you made in Celina and in this world. Congratulations,
Thank
Mrs.
you so
Calvert.
much. Thank you so much.
Well, this has been truly an outstanding opportunity, a great, great time. And I would say probably the most memorable ending to any podcast in history. We thank all the members of the Huddleston, the Calvert family who've shown up. There's some back here behind camera that you can't see, but I want to thank you for being here, for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of the great things that make Celina who we are as a community. And thank you for being a part of this Life Connected podcast in our sesquicentennial 150th year as a city. We want to congratulate on behalf of the city and on behalf of Dr. Tom McGlisco and the school board and all of Celina ISD and the residents of Celina. Congratulations, Janet Calvert, for the naming of the new Janet H. Calvert Elementary School. I can't wait to see that thing come up out of the ground and for it to make a difference in the lives of kids as you did so many years here. Congratulations, Janet Calvert. Thank you, James, Jared, all of you for being a part. Thank you, family and friends. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time on Life Connected, our podcast.